Hello, friends. Welcome to the edition of my getting.
What was that? Did somebody scream mashed potatoes? That was mashed.
We are live. Maybe. Wyndham Clark on the final hole. Can he pull it off? Rory McIlroy just could not make anything today. Just absolutely couldn't make anything.
Yeah, I think he's going to finish the day with 1 or 2 one putts. So that's just flat out not going to get it done at a major. And honestly, we'll let this finish before I congratulate Wyndham. I don't want to mush him. I mushed Scottie Scheffler. I actually bet on him today to come back and win at plus 440 because why wouldn't you? The dude just seems to win everything he looks at. But other than that, it's just been a bit of a lackluster Sunday, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, a little bit lame. I liken Scottie Scheffler to a cockroach. That's what I think he is. He just never goes away, no matter what. But yeah, it's been kind of a lame Sunday just in terms of, Rickie Fowler looked so, and we'll get into that, but how great he looked for 3 straight days. And he looked inflappable for 3 straight days. He set a U.S. Open record for birdies. And he's basically, down to the 72nd hole and doesn't have a chance to win the event, which is insane.
Yeah, I would have to look at the stats to really point at what went wrong today for him. But ultimately, I think he just didn't really make many of the putts that he was making these last couple of days because his putter's been crazy hot all week. He did miss a few shorter ones, but overall, he was just very steady, hitting a lot of fairways, hitting a lot of greens. And that kind of feels like this golf course in general. I don't know. I really have some strong feelings about this golf course. Do you want to get into that or?
Let's hear him.
Oh, you just froze on me a little bit.
Let's hear these strong feelings you got.
I think this place kind of sucks. I'm not a huge fan of this place whatsoever. Just the general vibe. We can start with the spectators. That's been a huge bone of contention all week. And if you haven't heard the whole story, basically LA Country Club, they allowed limited spectators to begin with. So they didn't even want to really pack the place. They were selling 19,000 tickets per day. And that is basically like the equivalent of what you can fit on the 16th at TPC Sawgrass in total on the entire golf course. And then on top of it, the members bought like half of the available tickets to the public. Now, I think 9,000 of the 19,000 were hospitality only. So a corporate type deal where you're in the tent. But it is a great course. Don't get me wrong. I do think it is a good course. It is just so non-typical of what a U.S. Open is. And I'm not generally a golf truther or anything, but I really feel like with the U.S. Open, you got to play the hits. You got to throw 99 on the black. Like this isn't time to fuck around and see how this goes or see how that goes. But I really do have a feeling that somehow this was swung by, some big donations to the PGA Tour Nonprofit Association, or I feel like there was some other way that this was moved to here and placed here, because I don't see it as a U.S. Open course. Do you?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have it has the US Open rough for sure. And there's like some guys that one of the things all week is you really just can't hit the green half the time if you're hitting it in the rough on your off the tee box.
Yeah.
And that part of it, I do.
US Open.
No, and that's what I'm saying. And that part of it, I do see. But overall, I don't. It's not your typical U.S. Open course for sure, and it's definitely not your typical U.S. Open atmosphere. And we'll get into that after the tournament kind of recaps and what all the guys had to say. But pretty interesting how many players spoke out this week, and even players that you wouldn't expect to speak out. So like that part's pretty interesting to me.
All right, so we got Wyndham. They're not giving us a yardage here. 197.
197.
Win in off the left. I bet he's got maybe 6 iron. Oh, it looks like
it's love it. He's leaning. No, it's right at the flag.
Yeah. No, it was right at the hole. So basically, he's just got a 2-putt for a U.S. Open victory. How fucking lame!
So unbelievable.
No, I mean it. Hey, let's give a little. Let's give a little shout out to us. Us. We kind of called this a little bit. Like, there's no reason with this dude, and with Wyndham Clark, he has the game to win majors, and he's obviously proving it this week. But it just goes to show you putt it well and you drive it well, and you can win majors. That Wyndham has done those 2 things this week. He struggled a little bit with the putter today in a few spots, but he had a few unbelievable up and downs. Like he definitely didn't have his best stuff tee to green today, but just making putts when it matters, making those 6-8 footers, and just it's so different when you can play this finishing stretch and you have 6 irons, 7 irons, 8 irons in on 500-yard par 4s, like wind in your face. The length that he has is just such an advantage, especially when you're driving in the fairway, you're driving it well. And it also just goes to show you now he's taken the lid off. You know what I mean? It was like once he got that first win, kind of got that, monkey off his back. Oh, look at everybody running up 18 now. It's like all the spectators for the day.
Everyone still at LA Country Club is now on the 18th hole.
Oh, there's a kid like about ready to run up on the green. Oh my God, they're getting – holy shit. People are going to start getting tased out here, dude.
Somebody just went through the bunker.
There's
a disaster.
Look at these fucking idiots.
Shout out to Greg, by the way. He said, welcome to the club of getting your ass whooped by a major winner in high school. That's now we can join that elusive club of just getting
it generally makes me feel better about
by
my own game.
Kid fucking.
What'd you say?
Yeah. Oh, it definitely makes me feel better about my game too.
Yeah.
The fact that I competed against this kid and now he's a US Open champion and he's won twice in the last month. Hottest golfer in the world, Wyndham Clark? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pick anybody over him right now. And that is the crazy thing, honestly, is 6 weeks ago, the golf world, maybe 20% of the golf world knew his name, Corey Thurman. I'm honored to be in that club too. Yeah, it's a real treat. But nobody really knew who this dude was. And now it almost feels like I hate to compare it to this, but like a Nuggets rise to stardom. Like we knew how good his game was, but now everybody else gets to see it on this national stage, and now everybody's recognizing that too. And he's finally getting, and he's earning the respect he's being given. Like he's earning people's respect with his game.
Yeah, Colorado's on an absolute heater right now. Just finishing up a parade for the Denver Nuggets, and now a Colorado kid from Valor Christian High School wins the U.S. Open. What an incredible week for our home state.
Yeah, he's keeping the good
stand
vibe
up.
going here in Colorado.
Was there a point in the last 3 holes where you didn't think he was going to win this event? Because there was a couple for me.
No,
when he missed the putt on 16, that he, after hitting an incredible, the drive, after the drive, I was like, okay, he's toast. And then he made, chipped out, made the right play. And then his caddy, really cool, mic'd up with him and his caddy talking about exactly how like specific these dudes are. It is crazy. Like he's like, yeah, I want to land this 125, right on the dot. And he did, and he left himself like a 7 or 8 footer, and then that turned into shit, and he ended up missing it. But when he missed that, I thought the door was a little bit open for Rory. But I think the longest putt Rory made all day today was that par putt on like 15 or 16 after he blew his birdie putt by. He did not make anything today. Nothing.
Yeah.
And basically he's going to finish one shot out of a major.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing with Rory is he just never stepped through that door today. There was plenty of opportunities for him to step up. Oh, no way.
Oh,
he's going to have to happen.
Yeah, he left no stone unturned. He's got to tap
Holy
in.
shit. Wyndham Clark is going to win the U.S. Open.
Dude, what were his odds to win this?
Dude, I don't want to say, but I honestly took a good hard look at him, and I felt like I could have done it. I think he was plus 6,000 again. It's just insane what he's doing this week, and I think there's a lot of other storylines. Unfortunately, I think this will be more remembered for the major that Rickie and Rory both kind of pissed away. Don't get me wrong, Clark has definitely played very solid, like even par on a Sunday in a major is most of the time going to get the job done. But we were just waiting for something outstanding from Rickie or Rory or Scottie or I can't even get into Xander Schauffele. That dude fucking sucks. That guy, he shoots 62 day one and proceeds to take 5 steps back over the next 3 days. He's never going to win a major. Oh, Wyndham's got the water. Oh, yeah, he is so fucking stoked. Oh, that makes me so happy.
He's going full cry.
Holy shit. That kind of gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
He is like absolutely ripping a cry
in his ear.
His caddy's like Draymond Green over there whispering in his ear.
How insane is it that there was 2 62s on Thursday at this event, and the winner finishes at 10 under.
Yeah, I mean the golf course, but that's the thing is like the major pressure definitely got to the guys in the final group because look at what, and granted it did dry out in the afternoon, but Tommy Fleetwood shot 63 earlier today. Like what he finished 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. I mean, the golf course is not going to change that much in that amount of time. So it's just, there's definitely some outside pressure that comes with being in some of the final groups. Here's Rickie giving him a pep talk. That's cool. Rickie's one of the most just endearing guys on tour. And I honestly can say that Rickie winning this would have been universally loved by all golf fans. I don't think there's really anybody that doesn't like Rickie Fowler because what reason do you have to not like Rickie Fowler? But Holy shit, man. I'm still kind of in shock that Wyndham finished this. It's insane. Spencer, are you there?
Yeah, I got you. You froze on me for a
you
little
okay?
bit.
You froze on me for a little bit too.
I thought you were finishing a statement.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so Wyndham Clark was at plus 7,000 to start the week, right between Corey Connors and Justin Rose, who you picked. So,
oh, good. Just a turd sandwich for me. Just pick the outside of the turd sandwich and Wyndham the winner sandwich right in the middle. What a treat.
Yeah, right in between our Sam Burns and Rickie Fowler and Justin Rose, right in our wheelhouse. But really awesome for this guy, dude. Just to we were kind of worried. We were trying to get stuff out. We posted that TikTok and we're trying to get that out on Friday night, and we're worried about like him losing contention. Basically, you were kind of being an asshole to me. You're like, hey, get this out, and then he ends up winning the event, so it doesn't look bad anymore.
No, it doesn't at all. I just wanted to make sure we got it. Well, I really, if I'm being honest, I didn't see him sticking around for a weekend because he just, it took him a while to make that first step of winning a tour event. Compared to a lot of his peers that won 3, 4, 5 years ago, right when they came out of college. But now, he joins the likes of Scottie Scheffler and these other young dudes that are capable of going out and winning a major, at any time. It's crazy, man.
Well, and just like we talked about when he won the Wells Fargo a couple weeks ago, a elevated field event, a lot of good players in that, and he goes out and dominates. And then his game, if you want to look at his game on a major level, and I think they spoke about it today, later in the day. It's most U.S. Opens fit well if you play a cut, and he was playing a cut all day. He's definitely not, he's not going to be a favorite to win a Masters at any point, being a right-handed golfer that hits a cut and plays a cut. But, for this golf course, he was cutting it all day. And
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a cut. That's more than a cut. That is a fucking banana ball. And I know that when you create that much speed, his ball speed was averaging 190, 188 to 190. The ball is going to work more like that, but holy shit. I mean, fucking Paul Azinger was about to cream his shorts watching Wyndham cut it all over this place because that dude just cannot shut up about how good cuts work out at U.S. Opens. Like, I'm sorry, but Paul Azinger sucked all week. This dude needs to get off major broadcasts. He's fucking terrible. All he talks about is how basically indirectly saying how much harder it used to be to hit a golf shot with the old clubs, with the old ball. Oh, the ball spins so much now. Oh, the clubs go so far now. They're so easy to hit now. Shut the fuck up, dude. I'm so done with him calling majors. And it's just this old get off my lawn mentality. Like, oh, well, if I was playing, you can just tell he's not saying it, but that's what he's insinuating. Like, oh, if this technology existed 30 years ago, we'd be doing the same shit. Like, that's not 100% a fact. Like, maybe Jack would be doing the same shit. Maybe the very best players would be doing the same shit. But if Paul Azinger was playing today, he'd probably be maybe a top 75 player. He wouldn't sniff a major. So this dude needs, like, I'm so done with these dudes that think they're so fucking good and think so highly of themselves, and they wouldn't survive 10 seconds on today's PGA Tour. Like, Paul Azinger is one of those dudes, and I'm just like done with his shit. I want a fresh crop of dudes in there. I want Colt Knost calling it. I want Smiley Kaufman calling it. I want these younger dudes. We don't need the Nick Faldos and the Paul Azingers of the world on any more broadcasts. I can't fucking stand that guy. Rant over.
I love that. No, yeah, the commentary was pretty rough, as it kind of always is. There was some funny comments, though. Did you catch the comments today during the 14th hole from Nance when they were talking about the Playboy Mansion?
No, what
There
did
was
he
like
say?
a weird screech, and somebody goes, oh, something about peacock, or that somebody unleashed the peacock sound, and then they were like, oh yeah, that could have probably came from the Playboy Mansion. That that's over there on the 14th hole, and then they like pan over to it, and then I don't remember who it was. It may have been, is Nance on this call?
No, Nance didn't even do the call today. It
Okay,
would
well,
have
it's
been way
Dan
better
Hicks.
if Nance would have done it.
It was Dan Hicks or someone else. They go, oh, there's been a lot of action there in the past.
Yeah, I mean that's not wrong,
Good.
but
It was good.
Remember, there's actually somebody has like their own bird sanctuary on the golf course. Like there's a legit, like somebody has a zoo in their backyard. So that's what it was. Maybe if these guys paid attention to the fucking game notes, they'd have an idea what was going on out there.
They didn't read the game notes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back in time a little bit, and we'll start with just from Thursday, and then we'll get to the today's round and talk about Wyndham Clark a little bit more. But pretty insane to see the two guys shoot 62. That's never been done. There was a lot of firsts in this U.S. Open, that's for sure. And then were you surprised on Thursday that it was so easy? Like, and do you think the course, they did anything to make the course harder, or it just got harder naturally based on, them not cutting it or them doing anything different? Or you think just the pressure got you guys towards the end?
Yeah. I think that the pressure definitely compounds during the weekend, but it sounded like, and they referenced it a million times on the broadcast, the weather just wasn't really cooperating because it generally is pretty dry and hot and sunny out in LA. And it was not the first few days. It was actually fairly cool and damp, and it just kept the golf course too soft and gettable. And realistically, like you watch these holes where the first hole's a 590-yard par 5, and I think that dudes were having like 220, 230 in. So a lot of these holes were not near as tough as they should have been. And it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if it's soft, the greens are going to be soft. So either way, because these guys hit it long enough where they don't need a lot of rollout in the fairway. But then if they do get a lot of rollout in the fairway, then they're going to have flip wedges into 500-yard par 4s. So there's really no way to really get the teeth of this golf course to show unless the greens are as firm as they were today. And even then they weren't crazy firm. Like I think that everybody just wants carnage from this golf tournament, and we didn't necessarily see that this week. But some of the golfers came out defending it like, oh, the field was widely separated, and there was plenty of guys that played like shit. Justin Thomas, Max Homa pissed down his leg. There's plenty of guys that played bad, but I think overall they didn't make it impossible, and I really don't have a problem with that. It seemed like the greens were really, really tough to read in general. Like there's so many little breaks here and there. A lot of guys taking second looks, like how did this go that way? Or, the greens just seemed very subtle. And so that the firmer they got and the faster they got, the tougher it was going to get. So yeah, 262s on Thursday. Definitely did not see that coming. But if you could have told either Xander or Rickie, you just got to shoot 2 under the next 3 days and you'll be in a playoff, do you think that changed their game at all? Like, it's crazy to think about like that.
Yeah, well, that's why golf is such a beautiful sport, and especially at the professional level, because they went out and just absolutely slaughtered this course on Thursday. And like you said, all they need to do is shoot 69, 69, 70, and they're playing still, and they're fighting Wyndham Clark and whoever else for in a playoff for the rest of the event. So it is wild. Xander Schauffele, I was texting RK today about it, and that's the last. That guy's fucking blacklisted for me. Absolutely blacklisted from my. I think I did just see. I think he snuck in in the top 10 because Dustin Johnson made a bogey coming in. So I think he cashed my top 10 bet. Can neither confirm nor deny that yet. The leaderboard isn't loading, but just a horrendous start for him yesterday. He's in the mix and he hits the fucking lip of the bunker 2 straight times. Like, what was that?
Yeah, that was definitely like there's times where you make a mistake, like with your swing, or obviously everybody hits the random odd shot, but to make a clear decision to try to hit it that far out of that bunker, pound it in the lip, it comes back at you, and then do it again, and then that is just a mental error that you cannot make, and he made it 2 times over. Like, and I feel like almost his caddy's got to have something to do with that. You know what I mean? He's got to talk him off of that and be like, hey, man, let's take our medicine, hit a wedge. Because it looked like he had something like an 8-iron or something like that. And obviously it wasn't getting up quick enough. So how about this kid, too? They're doing the trophy ceremony if everyone's watching. Gordon Sargent, the kid from Vanderbilt, wins low amateur. And I bet if you had to pick 2 dudes in the field with the highest club head speed and the highest ball speed this week, it was these 2 dudes standing at the podium, Gordon Sargent and Wyndham Clark. Like, if that goes to show you distance isn't A1 in this game, then I don't know what will.
Yeah, I mean, between this kid and then, you know, maybe some Cam Young, but I think this dude just dominated. Like, I think the US, the AM leaderboard, he was like 3 over, and the other dudes were like 13 or 14 over. So they made the cut and then completely pissed down their leg for an entire weekend. But I would have done the same thing. I'd have shot 100 here. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it was easy all weekend. But going back to something that I heard on the broadcast on Thursday, they did a mic'd up with Sahith Theegala, which was awesome. And one thing I never thought of, and maybe this is just me being like just not vigilant and not paying attention a ton, is like Sahith Theegala, he was an afternoon guy on Thursday, and he watched the whole morning on Thursday to see how certain guys played certain holes, especially at a course like this. How big of a deal was that for the guys playing in the afternoon, being able to watch the morning guys when, you know, guys like Rory didn't even step on this course till Monday. I think that part of it's insane with this whole LA Country Club thing.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's so hard to believe that Rory was watching YouTube videos about how to play this course because he's literally never played out here. And I can't imagine, you know, there's got to be some guys that came out early. You know, if you qualify for the major, I wonder what the membership was like with allowing the guys that had already qualified to come out and play practice rounds. Because, yeah, seeing a course for the first time for everyone, except for guys like Max Homa and anybody who basically played in the Pac-12, because I think they played a pretty big event there back in college. And Max Homa still has the course record out here after this week of 61, which is crazy. But yeah, nobody seeing this course and everybody going in blind, it almost makes it a little bit more of a fair test, like for the entire field, you know, because everybody has the same knowledge of the course. There's no dude that has an advantage over another on, you know, the course, just the lay of the land in general. So it almost like evens the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that guys, like some of the stories you heard coming out Thursday and Friday, that guys couldn't even get on here, couldn't play it. And then the whole thing came out with the Zaire Golf post and all the info about like what it costs, you know, $250,000 to be a member here. No celebrities allowed, which is kind of insane. There was a funny tweet today. Some guy like took a video of himself changing his shoes in the parking lot and just put like the most god awful, inexplicable golf act of all time.
Yeah. Their rules definitely are a little bit stringent, and I think there is something to having US Opens at public courses, like playing them at a course that any other person can go play. I think it's just good for growing the game in the way of like there's no separation between what they're doing on TV and what everybody else does when they go play. You know what I mean? Obviously on the PGA Tour they're doing it much better than the general public does it, but for an amateur to be like, oh, I've hit that shot, or oh, I've played that hole, or I want to go play there. It just incorporates so much more. And there's plenty of really, really good public golf. I mean, look at TPC Harding Park. We've played out there, and they just hosted the PGA a couple years ago. So, I mean, there's so many other good golf courses that aren't just so hardcore private and don't want anything to do with publicity. And that's the thing is, like you said, there's no celebrities that are members, yet they want to host a major here. Like, I think the USGA needs to do better about being upfront with the golf course and being like, this, you guys cannot limit the amount of tickets that are sold. Like, this is in our control. We're running this event. I think it feels like LA Country Club kind of dictated how this event went from a spectator standpoint. And I don't like that at all. Like, I think all the other years that they've played amazing old school golf courses that they've done it at, multiple times. Like next year, Pinehurst, it's a classic US Open layout. It's a great US Open course. And it's just, this week just didn't do it for me. Like overall, there's a few really good holes that I liked. I mentioned 15, before the week started. It played as short as 85 yards yesterday. And think about this. They made it so short that it was hard. If that hole is 100 yards, it's easy. But since it's 85 yards, these dudes had to hit like, especially with the downwind front pin, these guys were hitting like skip cut wedges and trying to bank it off the back ridge and bring it back. And I think that produced like 23 putts yesterday. So there was a few very good holes, but then there's a few holes for me where it's like straightaway 500-yard par 4, straightaway 500-yard par 4. There wasn't that much, unique different aspects to it. I don't even know if that's correct English or not. It just didn't feel that unique and that cool to me. It just felt very blah, very LA.
Yeah, well, and there was a lot of players that spoke out about the layout too. Victor Hovland said the only hole that he liked was hole number 9. He's like, that's the only hole that's like kind of good. And then Brooks Koepka, of course, came out and said on Friday that he's like, I just don't like this course. And one of the points that he made saying that, that kind of got blown up. But the point he made is a lot of balls go in the same area no matter where you hit it. And I think it was 6 or 7. I want to say it's literally a ravine in the middle of the fairway where if you hit it left, it goes down there. It's like a Jim Ing course. It's like a resort style course where you can hit a drive 280 yards carry and it rolls down right 280 yards in the fairway, or you can hit a drive 240 that rolls down that ravine and is in the same exact spot at 280. Like that part was a little bit gimmicky from the USGA and just from playing it at LA Country Club in general.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. And it's kind of crazy to think about, but if you think about Riviera, there is definitely some similarities there. Like Riviera starts out with a downhill par 5 right off the bat. The 18th hole, think about the fairway on 18. You hit it up the left, it filters down to the right. You hit it up the right, it stays right there, or maybe goes into the right rough. There's a lot of like similarities to this dude's layout. I think there's definitely more elevation change at LA Country Club than there is at Riviera, so that's a big difference. But other than that, you can kind of get a read on this dude, George Thomas, from a century ago, and kind of tell what his vibe is. But I would agree. I mean, there was a couple of holes that it really made no sense to lay up. I think that par 4 sixth, where dudes were hitting 3-wood to the green. And I will say that I did not hear about this, but apparently the designer back in the day really enjoyed making like half par holes. So like par is kind of a relative term, obviously. So a few of these par 3s are like a 3.5. And then some of these par 4s are like a 3.5. So if you play the par 3s well, like the longer ones, 11, I think it was 11, 290 yards at one point. If you're making
it was playing like 253 today.
Yeah. And there was one on the front that was playing 270. So, I mean, the par 3s were crazy long, and then there's a couple of short 4s. I still think the short par 3 is the best hole on the course because it gives guys the ability. I don't care how good you are. You're not, just by the law of averages, you're not going to hit a shot within 5 feet from 290 yards. It just doesn't. It's probably a 1 in 200, 1 in 300 chance. But with the short par 3, like if a guy just wants to take dead fucking aim and hit the exact number, he can do that with a 90-yard, 110-yard shot. And even as they stretched it out as far as 140 today. But just such a good hole. And obviously it provided fireworks. There's 3 hole-in-ones there this week. And then Wyndham makes bogey there today. So I think that a good short par 3 is essential on a great golf course, in my opinion, because there's got to be one par 3 where you really feel like you can make a birdie, but also, you know, walking off with 4 there feels like a double. Like it really presses guys to be like, this hole's only a wedge, you know, I got to hit it close. So I just really enjoyed that hole. But other than that, and that's what Brooks said, I mean, or I'm sorry, Victor said, there's a lot of good holes. There's no great holes. So I think it was just kind of an underwhelming layout for the players. The finishing stretch seemed pretty, you know, blah, in your face, average. Like I mean, the green complexes are great and all that, but tee to green, it just, there's really nothing like Wyndham. There was at no point that Wyndham couldn't play a 50-yard cut off the tee today. He was hitting a 50-yard cut pretty much everywhere and getting away with it. So in my opinion, with the US Open, I think it needs to be on a course where you're more picking spots. You know, the fairways are a little tighter, and you really got to be precise about, like, the fairways were just too wide to me. And I know that sounds like a lame take, but there was too much forgiveness in the fairways. If you make wide fairways and really firm fairways, no wonder that the winner was at 10 under. You know what I mean? That these guys, you can't make it hard enough when all they have is wedges in all day. That's just not going to happen. Spencer?
Yeah, some of the green complexes were what saved this course, to be honest, though. And I think it was Patty Harrington or somebody in the field was like, these are the best greens we've played on in years. So that part of it, like, I think the greens overall were, I don't know how many times they said there's a few things, you know, I'll piggyback on your announcer annoyance for a second. If you watch this tournament enough, there was about 10 different putts that were the fastest putt on the course. And then there was also a million Barrancas, and that was said 150,000 times. Like, God, I couldn't stand to hear that one more time. Yeah. And also when they played the 11th hole at 81 yards, that was said at least 81 times during the broadcast of how long that hole is playing. Yeah,
I definitely think it's an announcer's job to know when.
Greg says you sound like Paul Azinger. Fairways are too wide and these dudes just hit it too long. No, I do think that is funny, Greg, and you're kind of an ass in general, but I do think Mitchell has a point with the US Open. Like, I feel like you have to. There was how many holes were guys hitting iron off tees today? Like, that's kind of a US Open is like, hey, I can go for it and hit it down and maybe have a flip wedge in, but it's not like I can just pump driver anywhere or pump 3-wood everywhere. Like it's more of like, should I hit 5-iron off this tee? Should I hit 6-iron off this tee? That kind of stuff is what you normally see at US Open.
Exactly. These dudes were hitting driver all over the place. There's a Wyndham got greenside with an iron on a par 4. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? That kind of brings it into question. And Greg, you know I'm right. You think the same way. Like, you really want to see a tough test of golf, or if the fairways aren't too wide and you leave them that way, then it's basically playing like an Open, the Open Championship, where then you have to make the greens really tough. The weather has to pick up. And in LA, that's what everybody always raves about in LA. The weather is just always great. So there was really no teeth that they could force. Like they could have brought fans out and blown the greens to dry them out. But I mean, really, other than that, the course just doesn't really have that much teeth because these dudes are just too fucking long. I'm going to double down on that. And I'm not saying they're too long. The course allowed them to hit driver in too many places, in my opinion. And the rough is always spoken about, but it was the rough around the greens, around the bunkers. It wasn't necessarily the rough. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood hit a wood out of the rough today at the par 5 on the back 9 on the green. So there is no other U.S. Open venue I can think of, unless Pinehurst maybe, because they've got all the pine straw and shit. It's a little different, but no, you would never think of pulling out a wood out of the rough at Shinnecock Hills or Marion or, any of those class, Baltusrol, Bethpage. That's just not a thing at those places. You know what I mean? So this rough definitely was, it was relevant. It wasn't a non-factor, but much easier for these guys. And they're just so fucking good that you have to make the rough to the point where you borderline, it's a must chip out situation, because that forces dudes to hit the fairways. And that was the other thing too, is with this golf course, I felt like there's so little protection in front of the greens. Like maybe there's a bunker there, but there was a run-up area in front of almost every single green. There was hardly any force carries except for that short par 4 where they were hitting flip wedge and the pin was in the front. I think it was 4 or 5, something like that. But really it felt like other than that, if you manufactured a shot, you could run it up there. And for a US Open, there is some level of needing to run it up because it's so firm. But at the same time, you're allowing dudes the opportunity to possibly get it close. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was basically just not penal. And like Greg said, he said there was a lot of dead yardage. The holes are 500 plus, but with wind and elevation changes, the course played nowhere near 7,400 yards. So in that sense, yeah, it's like a 550 yard. I think on 16 today, Cam Smith, who, by the way, of course, it's just the whole live PGA thing. Cam Smith finishes 5th in this tournament. We saw 6 of his golf shots the whole week. That was a fucking joke. Same with Dustin Johnson. They were forced to show him today because he started to contend. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, he got to show his shots. I don't want to watch fucking Harris English hit golf shots when Dustin Johnson and Cam Smith are competing. I'm sorry.
I will be honest. I looked at Harris English and I'm just there's no way this dude contends. I cannot picture Harris English walking down the back 9 in contention here. And it's no knock on him. He's super talented. And I think he's got, obviously a great game. I'm sitting here on my fucking couch and he just is cashing a check for probably $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. So, but there's just that thing about the dude where you're he does not have the game to win a major. He can contend, but winning a major, it feels like he doesn't have that kind of killer instinct that you need to get the job done. He just seems too laid back, too chill. And I mean, we can clip this and I could just be putting my foot in my mouth at some point, but he's just one of those dudes that feels like he's going to win about 10 or 12 times on tour, never win a major, and be discussed as like maybe a top 10 player to never win a major, but he just couldn't get over the hump, almost like a Lee Westwood type of career.
Yeah, and then head to the Live Tour to finish out right off into the sunset.
I want to talk about a few shots that felt like they were kind of momentum swinging. Rory laying up on that par 5 that he didn't necessarily need to lay up on, and he could have gotten good wood on it. And then he proceeds to hit a dog shit wedge, which should come as a surprise to nobody because for as elite as he is, he fucking sucks with the wedges. And then he gets a amazing break. It plugs in the wall of the bunker. He gets a drop, chips it to 8 feet, and still makes bogey. Like, I felt like that was kind of the nail in the coffin for Rory, even though he was still somewhat in contention. Especially then when Wyndham proceeds to step up and hit it from like 290 onto the green to like 25 feet for eagle, makes birdie there, gives himself a 3-shot cushion. Like, at that point, I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, why can't we just have a close mate? And I know we've had some good majors. I just want every major to be close. And it just, those last 3 or 4 holes just felt like they weren't near as nerve-wracking as they could have been.
Yeah, no, and it's just a matter of Rory, not putting his foot on the gas and not making a putt. I mean, the dude made nothing all day. He birdied the first hole, and I don't think he made a birdie after that. I think he made 1 birdie on the first hole and a bogey on 17 or 16 or what, that par, maybe it was a par 5, so 13. And that was it the whole day. And you kind of feel bad for him because he's like in contention and he's there, but also goes to show you, Rickie Fowler sets the US Open record for birdies, also was last in the field in bogey avoidance, and ends up finishing in the top 10, so finishing for Rickie Fowler, finishing top 5 at a US Open, yeah, that's a win for where he's been in his career. But considering he fired a 62 and was leading going into Sunday and loses by 5 shots, it's a little bit of a letdown. Or do you think it's all roses for Rickie this week?
No, I definitely think that this will probably be his last good chance to win a major. He's definitely, it feels like his game is over the hill. I don't know if he's ever going to get back to being in contention week in and week out. But it really felt like this was his to grab by the horns and take, and he just didn't do it. And I think that kind of cements, unfortunately, what everybody has thought about him. But in all honesty, like, that dude still has a great life. Obviously, we're not talking about overall, what this means for him personally. Like, he's still living it up. He's still cashing millions of dollars worth of checks. And, but from a golf career standpoint, I think he's always going to kind of be like, what if this, what if that? And I really don't think he'll ever win a major. So I would have enjoyed seeing him get it done, but there was plenty of doors opened, there was plenty of holes to birdie on the front 9, because we can even talk about that a little bit. The front 9 played, I think the final day today, the front 9 played like 5 over total for the whole field, and the back 9 played like 85 over. So the back 9 was a very challenging test in comparison to the front. But you saw guys like who had a putt for 28 on the front 9 today. There was so many low scores out on the front 9.
Austin Eckroat shot 29 on the front 9.
Yeah, he had a putt for 28 and shot 29 on the front. So it was definitely out there.
Tom Kim shot 29 on Saturday, yesterday, which was the 5th one in U.S. Open history, and then today just gets backed right up by the 6th 29. Now, granted, it's a par 35, so that changes the game a little bit, being 6 under versus being 7 under. But overall, the front 9 was just very gettable, and that's why, like, having Xander on the card this week and watching him just have a debacle on every hole that was quote unquote easy It was like insane. And honestly, dude, like I know we talked to Lou Stagner. We did the whole stats episode. I forget what hole it was. I want to say it was maybe 16 or 17. There was I think it was 16. 21% of the field hit the green in regulation the whole week on a par 4. Like that's an insane number to me.
Yeah. No, that is one of the, I would say 17 was probably the toughest hole on the course. That green was kind of slivered over there. I mean, that's where we saw Wyndham almost blow it yesterday. Had to take a drop out of the hazard and ended up making a clutch bogey. But that hole probably will go down as one of the toughest par 4s, I would assume, in US Open history, which is crazy considering that was the weirdest thing about this tournament for me is, and honestly, one of the few things I did like about it is it felt like there was very distinct birdie holes and very distinct, like, tough bogey holes. Like there was holes where you're like, okay, foot on the gas. And I mean, it makes it challenging for a guy to go back and forth in the mindset of, okay, I need to get one here. And then you go to the next hole, you're like, okay, I need to survive this one. And bogey's not a terrible score. Like the difference between knowing when to be aggressive, when not to be, is a challenge for these guys. So 17, super tough. I thought 18 was going to be a little tougher, but there was a few pins out there. 17, where even though Scottie made 2 there yesterday, which was just insane, that front left pin was borderline ungettable. Scottie, you could say he hit a great shot, no, not taking any credit from him, but a lucky bounce to end up where he was. He was a yard from going in the front left bunker and being completely hosed. So that there were a few pins out there protected by the bunkers to the point where you just flat out couldn't get to them. And you're like, but then on the other side of that, and you can tell me, I mean, if you're a smart golfer and there's a pin that you can't get to, obviously these guys, it tests your patience, but they're just going to aim away from it. Like it just felt like there were so many boring holes today where there was pins that everybody knew no one was going to make birdie at. So they would just aim away from it, hit it to 30, 40 feet and 2-putt. Like that's not exciting to me.
Yeah, there was a lot of like Wyndham Clark did that a ton. And that just goes to show, when winning players, what they do. And it is hard to, even the general public. And when you go out to play a course, how many people look at the center of the green? I'm working on that myself right now. It's just like, all right, I shouldn't go for this flag. Like, let's hit it to the middle of the green. But there's a lot. It's hard to keep like you said, keep your patience. Say, all right, this is not and going back to what you said earlier about the birdie and bogey holes, the course starts out 1 is a birdie hole, then 2 is a bogey hole, then 3 is a birdie hole, then 4 is a bogey hole. And it was just like immediately right out of the gates, you're like back and forth. And then you get to the whole back 9 and you're like, shit, I can't. Like Cam Smith shooting 3 under on the back 9 today was probably the most impressive 9-hole stretch of the entire event.
Yeah. Yeah. And he made like 2 10-foot, 12-foot par putts on the last 2 holes. Like there was nothing easy about that back 9. But yeah, that was probably my biggest gripe, along with the whole spectator situation, the announcer situation. Oh, I got to bring this one up because it was absolutely hilarious in real time. Paul Azinger. So Wyndham, do you remember that shot he hit on the par 3, I think the 7th, where he had a crazy uphill lie, his feet were in the bunker, and he basically had to play it out almost sideways and use.
Oh, that was 9.
Oh, was that 9, the par 3? Oh, yes, it was. Okay, yes, it was 9. And so Wyndham plays it out to the left, and Azinger's like, that's not going to come back. And it keeps coming back, and he keeps going, that's not going to come. Like, he's literally watching it do what he's saying it's not going to do. And how can you keep doubling? Like, you're watching yourself be wrong in real time, and you're still doubling down on it. Like, we should get this dude to debate fucking Skip Bayless on.
Yeah, he's like, I don't think that's going to get inside
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think that's going to get inside of 10 feet. And then he goes, 7 feet, 2 inches. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't think that was going to happen the whole time as it's just rolling.
Yeah.
I hoped it didn't happen at that point. I wanted it to be close, but he was completely wrong. He was watching it in real time and just, like you said, doubling and tripling down.
Yeah. Like he's the dude that like played the game back in the day, so he can't be wrong about anything that he says. And that shit just gets under my skin, man. Between that and then, so the first tee situation, we can touch on that for just a sec. There's no spectators allowed around the first tee. Like, this is a fucking major. This isn't a club championship. You've got 6 dudes with lanyards on standing around the first tee like they're out there on a Tuesday afternoon watching their buddies tee off number 1. Like, there's so many things about I don't know why, like I was just a little salty. Like, I'm very happy for Wyndham, but a lot of things about this major just didn't feel like a major. So what did you think of that first tee situation?
Well, it had me fucked up because, first of all, like they had to hit over like flower beds. I think they maybe just moved the extra box back. So it looked like they were not teeing off yet. Because there was, like you said, there was nobody there. And they're hitting over, like they're right behind in front of the cart path, but hitting. I was like, are they teeing off? And then they missed Wyndham Clark's tee ball yesterday on the first hole.
Yeah.
The broadcast had a few major gaffes. Then they have a fucking shot link in Scottie's way. So he lucks into a free drop today. That about set me off on the par 3. He hits one fucking 70 yards left. And they're like, oh, no, he's going to chip it into this fucking camera we have. So he gets a free drop. Oh, 2 drops. He gets to place it. He was dead. And then he still made bogey, which he deserved. Like, golf gods willed that par putt out of the hole. But, like, that was a joke, dude.
Do you know what would be a real U.S. Open would be? No spectators. Nobody's looking for your fucking ball. There's no grandstands to blow it into. You're out there fending for yourself. You get 3 minutes to find that motherfucker. You're re-teeing. Like, just make it as hard as possible. And another thing that, if you don't know this already, but you obviously know it. Some people, if you don't know this, you shouldn't fucking participate. If you go to a golf tournament and you're walking around and you see a golf ball and you fucking grab it, what is going through your brain? Like, how dumb do you have to be to think that you can just pick up a golf ball like somebody left it there for you? Like, did you see that chick today just run over on number 1, pick up the golf ball, and then everybody's like, no. And she's like, oh, and just throws it down. Like, what the fuck? If that was my girlfriend, I would like take her hand and walk her back to the car and we would have a silent ride home. Like, there, and I'm not saying it's just restricted for girls, because dudes do it too. Like, unless it is sitting in front of you. Even at the fucking Canadian Open last week, Tommy Fleetwood blows it in the grandstands, and the dudes were like, can we grab it? Can we throw it down to you? They were taking pictures with it before, so they were just playing stupid like they hadn't touched it. But even in the grandstands, you let the ball sit there and you let the dude, unless they tell you to touch it, do not fucking touch it. It just absolutely blows my mind that there's people that's like your girlfriend running out on the basketball court and just grabbing the ball and being like, oh, is this for me? Like, no, there's a game happening here. So don't fucking interfere with it. Like, oh my God, that sent me like through the moon today. I was so fucking pissed. I got irrationally angry watching that chick just walk over, pick up the ball, and I love how everybody just plays dumb. Like, you just not think. Do you not have a brain? Are you fucking hammered at 11 a.m.? Maybe. I mean, I would hope she was hammered. Like, there's just no excuse for it.
Yeah, just absolutely no excuse for it. One other crazy thing that did happen, Cam Young's ball going into the golf cart, into the golf ball holder of the golf cart. Maybe the most miraculous golf shot ever hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Tiger's chipping at the Masters is right up there, but
yeah,
the odds of that happening are just the most unbelievable thing ever.
Yeah, that's
all right. Well,
that's
do you have anything else?
annoying.
Sounds like you've gone on a couple rants about the golf course. Players did too, so we're not alone there. Anything else you wanted to touch on there?
The next time they have a US Open here, I'm going to be 44 years old, and that's still going to be too soon. I did not fucking like this course. I think the members ruined it for everyone. Very happy for Wyndham. Glad he got it done. Rickie's never going to win a major. Rory may never win a major either. He's fucking captain choke artist. Other than that, I'm pretty free and clear here.
Damn, I don't have anything to say to that. We're done. We're done. I'm just gonna let it end on your rants.
And Scotty,
Appreciate you guys all.
I'm also going to say Scotty's going to win about 10 more majors in his career. Like, if he can figure out anything with the putter, he will win 6 to 10 majors in his career. Guarantee it.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to find this Michael Kim tweet now because it was so fucking funny.
Oh, was it the Rory with the wedge or
a chance that Rickie or Justin Thomas and Max Homa went live today on Instagram? Did you see that? They were tweeting about it, and the PGA Tour, they're like, DM us.
That wasn't. Yeah, Michael Kim is actually a great follow on Twitter. He does say some good shit, and he gives a little actual real insight to. I feel like he gives a very real take on what's actually happening. So he's a great follow.
Well, he goes, this is like a couple hours ago. He goes, amazing how Scheffler looks like he can't get anything to go in his way and he's in third place. I wish I could describe how high of a level third place at a US Open is.
Yeah.
And dude, that's just how that guy is though. Like, it does not matter what goes wrong. He can't make anything close. Then he ends up making like a 60-footer. Like that guy, he's going to be, he should be an auto top 10 bet for even at minus odds for every event. I'm sorry. Like, I can't bet on him to win events at plus 550 because it's not worth it.
I totally agree. I mean, that there's no reason why you shouldn't be betting on that dude week in, week out. He is literally just staple his name to the top of the leaderboard, because even if he does not win, I don't remember the last cut the dude missed. Like, he is there every week. And yesterday, I mean, it wasn't Sunday, but he finishes 17, 18, 2, 3 on about a combined 1,000 yards worth of golf hole. He finishes it in 5 strokes, which included, one putt. He holed out on 17, but the dude is just a fucking ball striking animal. Like, I got to give him his props where props are due. I bet on him today, and so for Scotty, for that, I apologize because I can't win a bet to save my life. That's just, I mush everybody. So
another offer for you for the week. Unfortunately, I had 2 guys in the top 10, but
I fucking suck at betting, dude. Sam Burns, terrible. Max Homa, Max has got to figure something out. He's 76, I think, on Friday to miss the cut. And I can't even remember who I had as my third guy.
Justin Rose. He was out in the first 9 holes.
Yeah, he fucking shot 43 on the front 9. Like, I can't catch a break, man. I feel like Rickie Fowler pre-Butch Harmon 2020. Like, I'm in my rock bottom here. So I need to be better. I'm going to get in the lab and really grind out some picks, and they can all fucking suck. But at least I put in a little more thought.
Yeah, you'll be back. And we'll be back this week with Big Drive Energy. We appreciate you guys all tuning in. Follow us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy on Twitter, at Big Drive Energy Pod on Instagram. We, our forecast for this week is playing golf a couple of times, actually. And we're working a golf tournament, doing the Big Drive and Long Drive contest next Saturday at a charity celebrity event. So pretty excited about that. We've got a lot of golf in our future the next 6 days. So we're looking forward to it. Make sure you guys tune in to Big Drive Energy Weekly, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on the YouTube. Shout out to Colorado boy Wyndham Clark. You are the shit. You are way better than me. You are way better than us. And now your career, now that we spoke it into existence, can officially take off, just like us.
Peace.
Peace.